Facebook, by the way. Josh is on the job right now at the Nest in Photo and Design, learning about what it takes to be a great photographer. Josh, take it away.
Hey guys, that's right. So yeah, Instagram doesn't make you a photographer, unlike many of those kids out there would like to think. All right, you can't just take a picture and throw some kind of filter on it and be a professional photographer. This day and age, if you want to hit the home run, you have to know how to do it with the photography. I'm here with April Masario, owner of the Nest Photography and Design. April, I wanted to learn from the best, and I hear you're having a grand opening here in town this Saturday. You've been doing this a long time. I saw your resume, your Brooks Institute. You told me you lived in New York, Philadelphia, LA. You have a lot of experience. Kind of fill us in. What's step number one? If I want to become a good photographer, all right, maybe not a pro, but just a good photographer, I want to get some tips. What's step number one?
Well, first of all, you got to get good gear. That's the number one thing. Everyone knows that. Here is just what's in my camera bag. Usually it's kind of what I take with me.
It's a lot of stuff. Looks very expensive.
It sure, and yes, it sure is. Anything ranges from $3,200 to just $1,800 for
It's one of those things where you can spend as much as you want, pretty much.
Yeah. You can, but it's quality. It's in the lenses. It doesn't matter what you're photographing. If it's anything from cars to lipstick to jewelry to people to nature, there's a lens kind of for every situation.
Really? So if I'm going to go shoot maybe an athletic event, or maybe I'm going to go out and shoot an animal or people, there's different lenses for each type of picture.
Lenses. Say this lens goes for sports or weddings, so you don't stand in front of the crowd. You can kind of be far back, and it'll zoom in there for you. And then we have our kind of our wide angle. So say you're a nightlife photographer or shoot bands and things like that. You want to get some cool wide angle shots of them. So you go ahead and go with your wide angle. And then this is just kind of my standard one that I kind of go with. But you need really good accessories not only to go along with that. You need your tripod, you need your light meter if you're shooting outside.
Now I've seen, obviously, I've been a part of many a photo shoot, and I've seen the light meters, but I don't really understand how it works or what they do. Like, what's the purpose of one?
They read the light. They tell you what the temperature is, so you know where to put your ISO and all that. It basically tells you your exposure.
Now, what kind of lighting do you really look for? Obviously, it depends on what you're shooting.
It does. I always like to shoot outside. I look for an overcast day because it's kind of like a softbox over the sun. Everything's kind of diffuse. And it's interesting because some people say, well, it's a cloudy day. It's not going to look very good. That's the best thing we could ask for, really. And then inside, it's our strobe. So we're just using our flashes, making sure that all the light's neutral. And we could be in any situation and put our strobe up and make it look well.
I have so many questions for you. We're already almost out of time for our first segment. So if you're watching at home right now, stick around. I'll be with April for the next hour and a half going over photography tips. But April, really quick, fill us in on what you're doing the month of November to help kick off your grand opening. You're really helping out a great cause.
Great. Well, we're helping out Operation Smile. We're an official Operation Smile studio here in Kern County. It goes to fixing cleft lips and cleft palates for children in need. So Family Portrait Month is basically what it's called. It's all of November, November 1st to the 30th, and all of our session fees for families who sign up at that time go to Operation Smile. So we're going to see how much we can raise for November.
And people can stop by what time on Saturday if they're interested in getting a shoot done?
They can stop by between 10 to 4. It's also on Friday, too. We'll be here kind of setting up because the shoots are on location. So we're just signing everyone up. You'll get a discounted session fee and also some cool products. And enter kind of a raffle sort of thing if you leave your name and number behind for all kinds of little prizes for the holidays.
All right, thanks, April. And also, she's going to be offering some photography classes, guys. So if you want to learn more, you can stop on by and see her. Again, guys, I've always wanted to get into photography, especially, sports photography. I have a lot to learn. A lot to learn.
I think we could all use some tips, though, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, good. We'll check back in just a little while.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Happening in Northwest Bakersfield, Josh Helmuth took it upon himself to learn more about the art of photography via the brand new Nest Photo and Design. Josh, what's going on?
Yeah, that's right. I'm here with April Masario, the owner of the Nest Photo and Design. April, we kind of talked about briefly what kind of equipment you should have, first of all, if you want to become a good photographer. You showed us some of the options. Now, your second best tip is to really just get to know how to use the camera. There's so many options on these things. I know I get overwhelmed.
Right. So many people will come to me and say, I just bought a new camera. I really want to use it. but I don't know how.
And the instruction manual is like it's like a novel. It's like the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Exactly, and really how many of us sit there and read through them anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
Though I do recommend that. That's one thing I do tell my students that come to me to learn kind of the basics of photography is flip through it, kind of see. Because also if you have a problem, you'll know how to troubleshoot it. Because so many times it'll freeze up, say you're photographing Johnny's football game, you know, and it's really important to him. And it freezes up on you. What are you going to do? If you haven't read that manual, you're just going to be sitting there fiddling.
So there's so many options on these cameras. What are some of the main key components that are vital to know?
Well, it has nothing to do with all these little settings. Put it on manual.
Okay.
M. Okay. You need to learn the 3 components of what makes a perfectly exposed photo. What's going to make that great picture, and that is shutter speed, aperture, and ISO.
Okay, so first shutter speed. If something's going really fast, all right, like you're maybe shooting a track event.
You're going to need a fast shutter speed.
Okay. Now, when would you use a slow shutter speed when you want to show? I've seen people use the light designs.
Yes, and that was when I would say, you know, sometimes in night photography, you want to see the star trails. You want to make a really cool night landscape. You're going to put it on slow. Put it on a tripod. Literally set the shutter speed for, you know, 5 minutes.
Okay.
And you'll get kind of a lit up lake if you're out at Truxton or something.
And what about aperture? What's that, and how do you use that?
So aperture, I guess how we can most easily describe it is kind of think of your eye and the iris of your eye. When your eye dilates, it opens up, it lets more light in. And when it's not dilated, it gets smaller, and so you're letting less light in. So if you want it brighter, you open up. If you want less light, you go down.
Okay. And you said the third one was ISO, is that what you said?
ISO.
Now, what's that?
That's basically the digital sensor, the sensitivity to light, how much light. It's kind of like your ambient light. So if you're dark situation, bump up your ISO, and it's suddenly going to be brighter.
Now, I appreciate you sharing the tips with us, and these are like basic, you know, it's like photography 101. But talk about how, you know, some people have the misconception that if you just own a Canon or an Nikon or something, anybody can be a photographer. That's really not the case if you want great pictures.
It really just comes down to knowing how to use it and how all those 3 components come together and what their relationship are to each other so you can make a good picture. And it's also in your lens.
Cool.
Your lens glass, the quality of your lens, that's really what's going to make the difference too.
Tell us about what's going on this Friday and Saturday. You've been open for quite some time as a professional, just recently in Bakersfield, but your grand opening here is this weekend. Fill us in on what's going on.
So pretty much we're going to be signing everyone up for our Family Portrait Month, which benefits Operation Smile. All of our session fees will be going toward Operation Smile for the month of November as a charitable donation. So we're really trying to give them something really great for the holiday season especially. And so everyone can kind of come in, get a discounted session, get some cool products, enter to win some cool prizes, especially for the holiday season. So we're hoping that people just stop by, say hi, book a session, or just kind of see what we're all about.
Perfect. Thanks, April. So, hey, if you're thinking about getting those really awesome Christmas card pictures done, she's really fun to work with. She's also very creative. So get your kids together, get your dogs together, your horses, whatever you got. Put your little doggy in a Santa Claus costume, all right? Go out and about and do this photo shoot. And you're also helping out Operation Smile at the same time.
All right, Josh, thanks very much. This is like Facebook and Instagram. Josh, I need some help because I've got the iPhone 4. It's the base model iPhone really in existence right now. Some of my pictures are good, but most of them are terrible. And you know what? I like to take selfies, and usually they're just awful.
You like to take selfies in your Red Sox gear pointing to me at the camera, right?
That's right,
like,
Josh. Big one tonight, buddy.
And when they
Big one
win,
tonight.
he'll take a selfie and send it to you.
I feel like I should just give you guys the congratulations right now.
No, Josh, please, do not do that. Do not. The games have to be
played.
I'm a realist.
I know. We'll wait and see. I got my fingers crossed, but let's just say my hopes aren't up at this point.
All right.
But my hopes are up when it comes to learning photography trade tips from April Massario here at the Nest Photography and Design. April, now we're talking about what makes a good picture. All right, so kind of fill us in on just some basic tips and basic advice if you want to improve your photography skills.
Sure. Well, there's what we call kind of the basic fundamentals of photography, and that's kind of getting you to your end result and creating that picture that people say, I like that picture. because we kind of look at something and we don't really know why we like it. We just think, oh, that's good or that's bad. So what makes a great picture is combining all the basic fundamentals of photography, which are kind of like our art guidelines. So just to list a few to not get too in depth, it's kind of like our rule of thirds, which is in all art. You know, it's kind of a grid where we place our subject in the frame, whether we shoot horizontal or vertical based on what we're photographing. Depth of field, perspective, are you up high, are you down low? Leading lines, I know, Josh, you've probably seen kind of that pier photo leading out to the horizon that everyone likes for whatever reason. And why do you like it? Because those leading lines of that pier are kind of bringing you into the photo, making you feel right there. You're kind of getting an emotional connection, like, oh, I could be in this paradise. And then, you know, one of the last ones, I guess you'd say, is negative space. So right here, just to give an example of negative space, is just a photo I've taken quite a while ago. But this is just negative space, knowing where to place my subject in the frame. Right here is our spot of intimacy, so to speak. This is what's drawing your eye in. But it also gives room to breathe. If you could imagine it just being cut off right there. It's kind of just so busy.
You really used your rule of thirds in this one as well.
I did. You're so good. You're onto this.
You got the baby right in the center. You got her over here to the right. And then you got the negative space over here. Looks beautiful.
Yeah, and it's perfectly balanced. And also kind of knowing when to do black and white or color based on your subject matter.
Now, obviously, if you want to be a professional, you got to learn on some of the best cameras that are out there. You have a very fancy Canon. What if someone's out there, they want to be a hobby photographer, they don't have this kind of money to spend? What type of gear do you recommend as someone that just wants to go into it as a hobby?
Well, I still recommend a DSLR. Go with like the Canon Rebel, so to speak. It's a consumer grade camera, has a little pop-up flash. You don't need to buy a big fancy external one, and just kind of start exploring with that.
Okay, cool. We're already out of time for this segment, but check April out, the Nest Photography and Design here on the corner-ish of Brimhall and Callaway. Friday and Saturday, you can come in, get 50% off a shoot for the month of November, and all proceeds go towards Operation Smile. We'll be with April. One more segment coming up later on this hour. Guys, back to you.
So much to learn. Lighting, all that stuff.
Yeah, but for whatever
absolutely.
reason, Josh, cameras have been around for, what, 60, 70 years in their modern form, all right? No matter what, when you're at like a tourist destination, people ask you to take a picture, they always still feel the need to point out where the button is. They're like, oh, it's right there, if you could just take this for a second.
Some of those cameras are pretty detailed.
Learning how to...
The button has been in the same place for the last 30 years. Trust me, I know where the button is. They're like, it's right there.
Learning how to work the shutter is probably step number one.
Could you take a quick picture of us? It's right here. I'm like, yeah, I know where the button is. Thank you. I've operated a camera before.
I'm going to loan him mine so we can take a selfie. Take a selfie.
Quick.
You guys are really passionate about this. Like, tell me how you really feel, Rob. You're really venting about this.
Josh, literally, I'm somewhere and everyone's like, it's a quick shot. All right, Josh, thank you very much. We'll check back in with you.
You know, when I was a little kid, I had a Polaroid that Grandma gave me. Oh, how times have changed. In fact, they really don't even work with film anymore. In California, I just learned from April here, you can't. EPA regulations, there's silver and whatnot that's involved, and if it's dumped out improperly, it can really hurt the environment. So everyone's going digital. And so with the digital cameras and the digital age, there's a lot of options. It's hard to figure out how to work some cameras. If people want to get into photography, we're giving people some tips. Now we want to dive into what kind of pictures should you start out taking? What's kind of like we're on number 4 now, your 4th tip, your piece of advice for those trying to get into photography, April?
My 4th tip, I guess, would be practice. Practice, practice, practice.
Like anything, right?
Right. Yeah. If you're going to be good at it, you need to practice. And it takes time. Learning these cameras, all the controls, especially if you just pick one up and decide this is what you want to do. Take a class. We have workshops here. We'll be teaching. Or, just your dog, your kids. That's what I start on with my dog. And then in school, we do these little things here where you kind of explore an object. Just zoom up to it, see its shapes, its lines, its pattern. This is all dinged up and old because this is actually one of my original.
This is one of their first shots.
At school, we just had to kind of explore an object and see it for kind of what it is. Zoom up into it and get kind of personal.
As someone like myself who's a hobby musician, I love this actually. I love it. Absolutely. I could see this like being hung on a wall somewhere in my apartment. I love it.
Interesting. I just zoomed in on a dirty old piano.
That's great.
And so yeah, that would be my advice. Kind of practice. Pick it up, use it a lot, zoom in, zoom out, play with your controls, shoot on manual.
When do you, if you're a hobby photographer or you're going to school for it, when do you know you're like, okay, you know what? I feel like a professional. I feel like I could go be a professional right now. I feel like my pictures are that kind of quality. When do you know you've reached that point?
Well, I think it's from person to person because surprisingly some people go out there before they're ready and then they kind of suffer in the end and they don't get work anymore because people are kind of like, well, maybe you went out a little too soon. So it's really about feeling comfortable, knowing that if something were to happen in a minute, you could pick it up, take that shot, and you'd get it. If you're still kind of fiddling, don't go try to get the job. You know what I mean? Don't go and advertise as the professional because if you don't deliver the results, you're probably not going to get hired again. So it takes time.
Now, they have the graphic up of your opportunity this month. Really quick, kind of fill us in what you're doing for the month of November.
For November, we're doing Operation Smiles Family Portrait Month through PPA Charities, which is Professional Photographers of America, which I'm a member of. So the 1st through the 30th, we're going to be doing family portrait sessions, either for your holiday cards or just to update for the year. I know a lot of families that like to just update annually. So all of our session fees will go to Operation Smile to help those kids in need with cleft lips, cleft palates that need to be fixed.
All right, and this Friday and Saturday, you can sign up for that for any photo shoot for the month of November. Especially think about those Christmas cards you want done, guys. The people get really creative with their photos. April here is very creative. And of course, you can see April's work in Be Well magazine, the quarterly Bakersfield Wellness magazine. The new edition comes out very soon.
On November 11th is our food issue, so check out all that work there. And thanks, Josh, for coming.
Thanks, April. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Work on your photography skills. She'll be offering classes here at the Nest as well. Rob, Linda, back to you.
All right, and Josh, be sure to check out the Nest Photography and Design. Josh, I meant to tell you earlier this morning, but you and I are actually photographed in the back of this month's Bakersfield Life at the Boots and Bachelors auction.
Oh.
No,
Yeah.
really?
Bachelors.
Yes.
Well, you're not
We should
a
make it known that we were not part of that auction. We were
No.
there supporting our Tom Murphy.
Yep. We were there in support, not bachelors, not on stage, but kind of cool to be, you know, in a big periodical like that.
You went
That's
to watch
funny.
the guys dance.
Yeah.
I know.
Darn right.
Get some
Darn
moves.
right.
Darn tootin'.
All right, darn tootin', Josh. Thank you.